Well, some of the biggest changes in recent memory to Dune Awakening, and actually I think this might be the biggest patch since launch in terms of content, changes, buffs, nerfs, is dropping very soon. It's on the PTR. We're going to talk about it right here, right now. And if you want the best Dune guides, you came to the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, Loru here, digital advertiser, content creator, and Dune enjoyer. Since the game has launched and we are getting bodies back and forth to our guild's DD base. And while this is happening, I want to talk to all of you about the recent changes that are happening. And yes, everybody say hi, YouTube. Thank you for being here. Casperio, we're doing our exclusive Dune streams over on Kick. Come on down, check it out. We stream on typically a lot of other platforms, but we're starting with Kick to daisies. Let's look at how this looks. So this is the PTR patch notes. So the first thing to understand is that this might change. These might be different by the time launch comes out, and they aim to release it August 12th. This is the 31st of July, so they might do it sooner, they might do it later, but we'll see about that. Let's start at the top. Firstly, they're going to test active for about 2 weeks, so you can go test these changes today. So first things first, you can test these changes now today. If you want to go to the PTR and check that out, definitely head to the Dune Awakening official Discord. They're fielding all the things from there. You can have a great time with it. I know you're going to enjoy it. So the first test, colliding ornithopters will now get an impulse applied to separate them. This is super intriguing. This is actually, what the heck? I have immediate thoughts about that. How that's going to affect the PvP meta. This will mitigate the griefing done to carry ornithopters by swarming with multiple ornithopters. I was just thinking about that. This is a big change. Big change, because, and actually, I don't think y'all can see that, can you? No, you cannot. I'm going to have to do this. So that's a big change because of exactly what they were saying. They were seeing a meta where the scout ornithopters were pushing and literally stopping the carriers from going forward. I think this is a big change, going to help the PvP be less about seagulling and more about actual play styles. And can we just be direct? Can we be honest? This is Dune Awakening's problem. This is Dune Awakening's problem, that more of the game is group up and zerg things instead of actually tactical gameplay. It's something that they have to address, and I'm glad they're doing these fixes, but I think more needs to be done. We will have to see about that in the future. Added deposit all blood, deposit extracts all water buttons to blood purifiers and water cisterns. Hallelujah! Hallelujah! It's finally here, baby. Oh my God, it's finally here. It's been 2 months. 2 months I've waited in Azkaban. It has felt like Azkaban because me sitting there clicking every single time. Whenever I have litter johns full of water, I don't want to go on water runs because this is like, it's just so manual. Now you can just click, might be worth getting blood again and deposit all. Exactly. We've actually gotten rid of our blood depots at our bases. We've gotten down to like just one of them because we just haven't needed them anymore. We just don't need them. So just one of those things. This is a good needed change. This kind of quality of life stuff, I'm willing to not dog on the Dune devs for being so late adding this in, because most of the game has some of the best crafting game quality of life I have ever seen. Dune Awakening at the start, I was amazed at the how's it called? At the interconnectivity of the chests, and how the crafting works, how you can set up circuits, how permissions. It's really great. We can give them some grace with this one. Pretty awesome. So, second, help with the testing patch. We'll provide a top-tier buggy. Oh, so if you actually go there, they will straight up give you a top-tier buggy, scout, and assault ornithopter, and a carrier. Wow, you can just test these items out. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Here's how to claim them and log in game. They're going to disable sandstorms and taxes the first week of this patch to not endanger your base. So what's confusing to me about this, does this mean that on the test server, there's no taxation and sandstorms? Or does this mean that the week this comes out, on live servers, there'll be no sandstorms or taxes? I don't know what that means. So some clarification would be appreciated, devs, because the wording there is a bit confusing. We'll have to see about that. So I think it's the test server. If I was a gambling man, and I'm not, I, like God, do not play with dice and do not believe in chance. Are you hurt? If you know what that's from, chat, we are now best friends. Okay. I think it's the test server. Yes, Whirling. I do think so. The wording there should be a little bit better. I think so. So, highlights. It is now possible to place pillars between walls. Personally, my favorite change. Okay, I grew up, kill me. I have been playing a lot of Valheim recently, and I like that Valheim lets you snap, the past 3 years really. I like that Valheim has a snappable building grid, but you can also place stuff where you were. So great. I'm glad it has world links. Thank you for clarifying here. Thank you for that. So the fact you can now place some stuff in between walls is going to let your builds be a little bit more fluid, because the pillars just didn't look good straight up when we were looking at these things. They just didn't look great, and we didn't like how these looked at all. So let me bring this down here so I can read this and we can keep this going. So really good stuff. A new sand bike variant and a new set of desert mechanic decorations is available for purchase in the vehicle vendor. Cool. Got some more sand bike stuff. Fixed the typo on a slaver still suit. They are gloves. They aren't golves. Cool, is what it is. Colliding with the sandworm's body during any of its animations will now result in death or vehicle destruction. Do you know what that's about? Want to know what that's about? There was a YouTube video that hit recently where some dude was actually riding a sandworm, jumped on top of the back of a sandworm after it killed one of his buddies. And this was something that people were actually doing, where they were like not riding it like in Dune, but they were jumping on the back of a sandworm. So basically the entire sandworm is now insta death. I think that's good. Decent change, makes sense to me. You can now search for items by name in the exchange. The categories have been reorganized to make browsing items more convenient and intuitive. I was just saying this today. I want to be able to search for platinum level epic sniper rifles. Why can't I do that? You know, I don't know. What if I don't know the name or remember the name of the iron tier scattergun that is also purple? You know, I don't remember all of this. Let me just search for what it is instead of what it's named. If that's what this change is, W change. Added all the things. They just did this up top here. I think we did. Yeah, it looks like they have a Debs, listen, you say this twice. It's fine. It's just one of those things. The Solido replicator will now encode placeables and decorations, allowing you to fully copy your functional bases. Thread, how happy are you, dude? One of our officers has been building up our deep desert base every time and replacing all of the structures. We've got like, what is it? 3 large ore refs and at least 3 large spice refs. This is going to save Thread. I was going to say, right, my hours of time, W change necessary. I thought that's how it was at the beginning anyway. You know, all right, Thread gets to sleep 4 more hours on one day now. That's actually correct. Actually correct. So W changes. We like this. This is good so far. Unstuck butt mechanic was improved. I straight up had it a couple times. I got stuck and it just didn't work. So looks like they fixed that. Great. Improved. This is a look at. There's more chat. Oh, we got gonna be a long video. Strap in, y'all. Gonna be a longer video. Let's see what we've got coming in. Here we go. Improve the resource distribution on some Jabal. And actually, we're just gonna do this so I can actually draw on a screen chat. Improve the resource distribution on some Jabal content blocks for their very large primrose fields from spawning. Sure, fine. Solido replicator now encode placeable decorations. Didn't we just read this, dude? Oh, because it's a highlight. Okay, geez Louise. We just read that. Added 3 new models to base management menu that shows information about the base's power supply, water storage, and inventory capacity. Base management menu. So if you access the sub-fief console, you can see how full your inventory is, how full your water storage is, and how your base's power supply is. Pretty awesome change. Pretty great. We like this a lot. So that's true, Bonzo. Bonzo says in chat, one of the problems with the sandworm insta-killing you is sometimes it glitches, and now it's going to insta-kill you. Finally, right, letting me do this. Right, Whirling, exactly. This is great. So it is glitching. It's glitching way less, Maya. You are correct. So it's not a big problem, but it's still a problem. So we will give them time. You can place pillars in between walls. Thank you for that. Pentashield services now sustains damage just like corners. Pentashield services now sustain damage just like corners. So the actual, like glowy part of the pentashield now takes damages. I mean, that makes sense. Why is it invulnerable? Nothing else in the game is invulnerable. So equipable items taken back from contract deliveries now default going into the backpack instead of being equipped. Going into the backpack now default going instead of being equipped. Okay, sure. I mean, if you like finish a quest, it goes into your bag instead of on your bar. Was that happening? Man, so you accidentally take like an iron tier gun and it's equipped, and if you don't realize that you're like doing iron damage, that's totally makes sense to me. That's just an ease of use. This is all W ease of use stuff. Pretty awesome so far. Static compactor power consumption now scales more linearly per tier. Fair. Increased static compactor threat generation. Hey, big deal. Big deal. This is large. This means that you're going to have way more worm threats post-patch for getting flower sand and getting the spice in the deep desert. So you're going to have to deal with the worm more often. That's how that reads. Okay, so W changes on resource building and crafting. Let's check on economy. You can now search items by name in the exchange. Sure, fine. I don't really care about that. The exchange categories have been reorganized to make browsing more intuitive. I think that's pretty great. We're going to have to see how that is. I'll comment on it when it actually comes out. So increase the amount of scrap metal awarded when cutting apart crashed ornithopters by 20%. This is pretty great. So one of the things we like to do with these patch notes is not to talk about what's said, but actually give you actionables, what this means. So leading up to this, so let's actually take a step back. Leading up to this patch, I would go farm a lot of flower sand because you're going to have a harder time farming flower sand. That's like number one. Number two, farm as much melange as you can, but that's just like a duh, obviously. So maybe you want to consider putting back your blood purification things in your bases, and we'll have a water run guide coming out soon on how to do water runs in Dune Awakening. So you can get do water runs now that don't involve dropping bodies off, because now you have extract all, deposit all water buttons in your base. Look for those guides, sub for those coming up. Okay, so more scrap metal, W, sure. It's a cool thing. I think you should get more out of it. Makes sense. Change the name of the Mala clothing chest item to Mala tunic, differentiate it from Mala clothing chest item that has a frem kit attached. Sure, just a name change. Change the crafting recipe of Buggy Mark III to use 10 rays instead of 23 Holtzman actuators. Easier to craft, makes sense, and you also have to go deeper into a different area of the place in order to do it. Makes sense. Hoodrat, thanks for the follow, by the way. Welcome in. Thank you very much for that. Updated the way items are categorized in the exchange, makes them easier, specific look for. I feel like they're saying things twice a lot. Am I wrong? Like, they've been reorganized. They've been reorganized. Who proofread this? ChatGPT? Come on, devs. You guys are better. It's just, let the reactors say the thing one time. Thank you very much. Improved interactions with other players when they are moving. That's really good change, because sometimes they'd be going this way and all of a sudden they would boop, they would instant transmission like 5 feet to the right. And that, I think this is a good change. Redistributed flower sand and spice sand fields in Haga Basin to allow the worm to reach them. Oh no, dude. So now go farm a lot of flower sand, y'all. A ton. Before the flower sand, nerf, this is a nerf, happens. You go get it, because now you're going to have increased worm threats, and they're changing where the fields are to have the worm reach them. We have a couple fields we go get dedicated that the worm doesn't necessarily come get you at. There's like spots that the worm doesn't patrol as frequently. Those are about to be gone. So, yep, that's right, Process MI, you are correct about that, exactly. Solari value to liquids held in containers. Now when you sell a container to a vendor, they contain any metal liquid, you get an extra Solari in return. This is one of those things that should have been obvious, but I understand from a technical standpoint where they probably couldn't have done it. If you have a water canteen, if you have a liter john that's full of water, water's very valuable. You should get Solaris. Here's a full water bottle. Now you do. Pretty good change, W change. Increase the range at which corpses can be looted and exsanguinated to make melee experience smoother. Sure. Thank you for that, devs. Appreciate that. Remove Solari from Platinum tier deep desert loot pools. Remove Solari from the end game deep desert loot pools. So you straight up just don't get Solari as a drop from those chests anymore. Do we like this? Do we like this? I think this means that the drops you actually want are going to happen more often, and I don't think that necessarily matters because the DD already has a ton of Solaris coming out of it through its gills, so no worries. This is a big change. You no longer can carry a crap ton of rockets. They have more than tripled the weight of rockets. Whoa. I was carrying around 500 rockets before. Now, and just spamming them. I like this change because it means you actually have to try. Devs, now make it possible to take down a Mark V Thopter a little bit easier. Let's reduce the health of some of these Mark V Thopters, because if you're solo, my God, it's like, I can't 1v1. It's ridiculous, and you argue then group up. The group ups, do you want seagulling or do you want groups? Do you want solo or, there's a couple things like this that are meh. I think this is a good change. It's an awesome change. I totally agree, Bellum. We'll see where the balancing happens from there. We'll see about it. Increase crafting costs of rockets from 1 ingot, 10 fuel cells, to 4 ingots, 20 fuel cells. Honestly, W change. Or rolling in duraluminum right now, and this makes total sense. It's easier to farm now that we're at the end game. Makes total sense to me. Make it more, they want it to cost more to throw rockets. Okay, decent. Seagulling, Bonzo, is when, if you're solo, let's say you're in a carrier, and you want to fight this carrier. If you bring 10 of your buddies and go after this carrier, that's seagulling. Mine, you just get a big group and go after it, okay? They want to make it more difficult doing those things. They want to make it so you can't seagull indefinitely. You can still seagull, bring a crap ton of people. Just to be clear, there's nothing morally wrong with this. It's just a thing that's in the game that you have to play around. You need protection, you need scouts. They've made it so you can't seagull for 30 minutes. You can seagull on one attack. You can bring a stack of rockets, maybe 1.5, but you can't bring 4 every person. If you got 10 people, everybody's, what is that, like, 10,000 rockets? Yeah, it made it so you can't do that anymore. So all of this makes sense. Made some actives more attractive to buy from vendors. Several items have their prices adjusted. Following items have been made. So they made this one look at this, 2,500 to 400. These changes make total sense to me. Everything's going down in price. Why is this? No one was buying these. Chat, be honest, you ever buy one of these from the merchant? No. I have never bought one of these. So yes, and mine, that's right, Bonzo, exactly correct. Lubricant was actually dropped as well. Officers, this is a big deal. Anti-rad pills are only gonna be 80 Solari. Now, I'll tell you, this change is an aggressive change for Solari. Some of these I agree with. The melange spice stuff I think makes sense to me. But this, I think this is too aggressive. This is too much. You're making the game now way too easier. Anti-rad pills are supposed to be like an end game precursor thing, and they're making these too easy to get to. 10%. It's not half. It's not a third. It's 10%. 800 to 80. That's a big one. Napalm got reduced. Even rockets. So if the rockets are only 200 Solari, but you've increased the price, I'm just gonna buy rockets now. This to me is strange. These values are 2,300 for a missile to 100 Solaris to buy. What is this? Who did this math? Chat GPT? We're gonna keep saying. I think this is too aggressive of a lesson. You're not talking about taking it from 23 to 2,000. I personally believe it should be expensive to force you to farm, build your own, instead of just farm Solari and buy. I agree, Maya. I agree with that totally. I don't love these changes. This change I don't love. I think it makes sense that these things were never getting bought, and now you can make them more attractive, because being able to use your prescience more, okay, fine. Being able to power your base for essentially nothing. We're talking about 80 for anti-rad pills, and sure, you can't do the, you can do the industrial loop. So, man, Plastone has been increased from 10 to 40. Very strange. Spiced fuel cells have been decreased 1,500 to 200. This is a weird change. I don't understand these, but the rest of these I guess make sense. We'll have to see what this does. This just made the game. Why farm items when you can farm Solari? Well, guess what guide I'm making, chat? How to make all your Solaris. Warling, you're the richest guy in the freaking place. How are you getting all of your Solaris? Tell me about your runs, and then I'm gonna make a guide on it. We're gonna see. Get more people to join our guild. So show stats functionality on schematics now available on schematic items that are in inventory or being sold at a vendor. This will allow the stats or results item to be previewed before purchase and usage of the schematic. This is a W change. This is a big W change, because before, when you looted a schematic out of a chest, you had to wait till you were back at your base to see how it is, what was in it, what the stats look like. And you don't know, again, you don't memorize stuff. What if you've never seen the item before? Now you have to Google what it is. Just put it in game. Make the stuff I want to see in game. This is a W change. Good job, devs. We like that. Corrected, the Cutaway Mark V could drop from aluminum tier locations. Crazy. The Sandfleas carver could drop in duraluminum. Gotcha. They have been swapped. Okay, so this was just a bug. They should have been in other areas. Makes sense. Schematics now display stats. Chat, again, devs, this is like the 4th one that you say the things twice in your patch notes. Have one of your interns read this thoroughly, and if he misses 4 of them, maybe don't, give him some pizza that week or something. Sheesh. Interesting. So This one was a W. Walking W's. This economy one was like, W's. What just happened to my thing? It just went to very large. This is like an W. Some of these are W's, some of these are L's. Gotta be honest with you. So it was part of why I built in the Udom. I gotcha, Maya. I gotcha. I've been asking for that since day one. There it is. A lot of my Solaris came from early sales of Duramaluminum and now from the patterns I farm. Gotcha. Makes sense. Do you sell the patterns, Worley? Or do you craft the item and then sell the item? Or both? You diversify because you're an E player and you understand things. Okay, so let's read this combat one so we'll see it. Updated melee animation to have the hand in the right pose. Sure. Logging off in a social hub is now instant. Good. If you're in a social hub, you don't give me the stupid information about like your character is gonna be here for 10 minutes. Is that all right? Just log me off. I'm safe. I'm in Arakeen. Why? Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's there for 10 minutes. It's fine. I'm safe. Increase the penalty of headshot damage from center of mass from this from negative 25% to negative 10% to all levels of the technique. Increase the penalty to headshot damage from center of mass. Center of mass is a soldier tactic. Center of mass is this. So they basically made this something I will never ever get because they made it so that your headshot damage is real reduce. 25% is large nerf to that. It was negative 10%, now it's negative 25. This talent is, I never want to headshot them, I only want to body shot them. I don't pick this up because, for obvious reasons, goodness gracious, that's a pretty big nerf. Remove body damage penalty from the marksman technique. The marksman technique. Is that one of mine? Is that a Mentat thing? Marksman. Okay, increased headshot damage, but this is a Mentat buff. This is a Mentat buff, so now I don't do less damage on the body. What do I think about this? This is a very odd thing to do back to back. I kind of agree with this because you're basically, this change is a global Mentat buff. Because marksmen, we just did a little bit less damage if we hit them in the body, and that's often a thing. But it also doesn't really make sense. If I'm better at shooting them in the head, why is it that it reduces body shot damage? If I'm a good shot, why is it, I do less damage in the body? Flavor-wise, it doesn't really make sense. So I think this is a W change. This is a weird change, and I think we're gonna have to see how that updates the various meta things. Okay, so updated input card for center mass, better list what types of damage it modifies. This is a good change because a lot of people were like, what does this affect? You can see it says you've been taught to shoot where you're most likely to hit and do it by instincts. Increase damage that hits the body or shields, but reducing your damage via headshots. Did you know that this only affects certain weapons? It's not in the tooltip, straight up. Not in the tooltip. And that kind of stuff is, it's gonna get put in the game, I guess. So, new DBNO sword execution animation. DBNO, is that downed player? I don't know what that means, Jen. Polish on heavy attack dagger animations. Sure, good. Add a new stagger dash tutorial that will trigger if you have been in stagger for a combined 2 minutes in one play session without dashing out of it. These poor people. Somebody doesn't know. Down but not out. Gotcha. Okay. Somebody has been staggered just so long that for 2 minutes they haven't used a dodge. Someone doesn't remember the tutorial. This poor soul is like, what do I, I don't know. They just keep starting me. I don't know what to tell you. And the game's going to be like,
if you press Alt, you just get out of it, dude. You don't have to keep suffering like this, brother. Come on.
That's pretty funny. I like that. F is right, kid. It's really funny. I like that. That's super funny, dude. I love that a lot. Okay. Reduced intensity of suspense or belt VFX trails when moving at high speeds. I like this because it would take up my entire freaking screen. If I'm going like very fast, watch this. If I'm going very, very fast and I do this, sometimes it would take up a lot of your screen and you won't be able to see anything. Right? So this is a good change, I think. It just takes up a lot of your screen. So sure, let me play the game. I don't need to know that I'm floating. I can tell. Okay, sheesh. Dagger sprint animation, sure. When in stamina regeneration block, both lower left and middle screen stamina icons now show as blocked. Okay, pretty good. I like that. When it's stamina regeneration delay, the remaining time on delay as drain on the stamina icons will show like with buff icons. Okay, so they're making the buffs uniform, making it continue forward. Still good, still W's. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. Okay. Improve responsiveness of NPCs emerging from behind entry points in wave encounters. Okay, so what was happening during waves is if there was a spawn point and NPCs were spawning, they would just stand there for like 5 seconds. You know, they would just, you love my, I will not apologize, chat. I have some of the best drawings of any streamer. Look at this, it's fantastic. They would just stand there. So you would just free pot shots for like 5 seconds. So they have made that so that doesn't happen, and they will just come out and start shooting. Makes sense. Rushers with dagger should occasionally use the lunge attack variant when their target is trying to stay away from them. Pretty cool. I think the AI in the game needs to be improved. A lot of the enemies just get easy towards the mid game, and this is a good thing because they're going to come after and they're going to try to rush attack you. Makes sense. PvP respawn token timers will only count down when the player is alive. Sure. Yeah, so because people, what they would do was they would stay dead and just let themselves be dead, go get a sandwich, come back, respawn, they're now back and they're unflagged. They can just keep it going. So makes sense to me. PvP respawn timer will now work in Haga Basin. Okay, sure. Add a visual indicator showing stamina regeneration is blocked. Again, we just read this. It's the 5th time. It's the 5th time that we read this, and maybe this is something different, but guys, Dune Awakening devs, 5 times in one thing, you say the same things. What's going on? Like, proofread your stuff. I love you guys. I want you to win. It looks unprofessional. I want you guys to be perceived as professional because Dune Awakening is one of the best games I've played in 10 years. Colliding Ornithopters will now get knocked back to separate them. We just talked about this up top because they did a highlight thing. That's fine. This will mitigate the griefing done to carry Ornithopters. W change. Good. Honda's sandbike engines now produce more heat. Man, that was one of the first engines and it was so good. Man, and that they nerfed it. Temporarily removed the utility module slot from the Assault Ornithopter. Huh? Temporarily removed front utility module assault from Assault Ornithopter. The what? The what? Have I not noticed this? How long has that been there? How long is this a thing? They just had one there? People have been asking so much about it. Hey, what do we, what is that for? Apparently nothing. They're just gonna remove it. Okay, I guess people will stop asking about it. Balancing changes. Here we go. Halved the scanner deterioration rate. Halved. So it deteriorates faster? What's up, Raven? Or it deteriorates slower? If you halved the deterioration rate, I gotta be honest with you, I didn't finish college yet. This stuff makes my brain hurt. Does it make it, is this a buff or a nerf? I don't know. And they halved all of these. Are we gonna get Assault Orny Scanner? I don't know, Bell, apparently not. That's always been there, but we can't use it, right? There's been nothing to put there. Reduced Assault Ornithopter wings deterioration by 30%. Slower. They made it so it doesn't deteriorate. They made it so it deteriorates slower. That's a buff. Okay. Okay. The wording, again, the wording there is a little bit confusing. Like a buff. Right? It should say like buffed sandbike scanner. Made it so the deterioration rate is slower. Okay. By half. Not halved the deterioration rate is like, so does it deteriorate half as fast or half as slow? I don't know. So it's, you know, some of this stuff. Maybe chat, maybe there's smarter people than me making these and you have higher IQ than me. That's entirely possible. Okay, let's go. Reduced Assault Ornithopter wings deterioration by 30%. So this deteriorates slower. This is good. This is good. Increased the Dragonfly speed by 20% in the carrier. Good. Halved the generator heat buildup speed. Good. This is buffs to the Assault and the carrier. Excellent. Improved the boost power by 10%. More buffs. There it is. Slightly increased boost speed while in Vulture mode for carrier Ornithopter. Ah, thank you. Thank you so much, Devs. The carrier was such a slow boy. Thank you for doing that. Thank you. PSU tier upgrades now have more noticeable effect on heat stats. W. Assault carrier Ornithopters have had their booster thrusters update, allow them to boost to increase their maximum Vulture speed. Love that. Yes. Make them easier to fly. We like this. These are slower. The scouts still dominate the meta, still absolutely dominate. Slight polish on vehicle cameras, making it less likely to clip through terrain. Sure. Improved logic of how vehicles are positioned after travel to avoid their overlapping with one another on arrival. That's pretty good because you would have like 10 people join at once if you were with your group and you would spawn literally on top of each other and it was like a mosh pit of exploding Ornithopters. Pretty funny. Like gets old after like the 5th time it happened. So thank you for that. Increase the time before abandoned vehicles attract sandworms. Makes it so if you abandon a vehicle in the sandworm comes a little bit later. I think that's fine. Just in case, just in case. With the changes, Assaulthopter might be used more. I totally agree, Whirling. I totally agree. Boosters make you vulture faster. I like it. Right, that has been a thing. And you'd think that would be a thing anyway, because if I'm vulturing and a booster, why am I going slower? Right? Again, that kind of stuff, it doesn't make sense and looks like they're updating it. So all of these are W's. All of these. Great changes. Well done. Some of these are a little bit weird, like the Mahonda spike, but that's fine. World building. Botanical session testing station 2 has encounter doors reactivated. There was doors in there. Remember, you couldn't get in. It said not available. What's in those doors? We're going to have to go find out. Colliding with the sandworm's body during any of its animations would now result in death. Yeah, we already saw that. Deep desert, fine. Deep desert and Landsrad. Added additional lands to fight over and claim for your bases with more resources being generated. This, to me, reads like there's more islands in the deep desert and there's more resources being generated. So they're actually adding more titanium and more stratium. They're making the game in the deep desert easier. Again, you know my take on this, that the reason why the Dune Awakening player base has gone less than half in a month is because they made the end game easier and there's no competition, none anymore, very light competition, and everybody has beaten the game. So making the game easier again, adding more PvE changes I don't love, but hey, the solo players, the 2 people are going to be happy, I guess. You know, I don't love these changes, but hey. Landsred houses may now require Solari to be delivered. Sure, we need more Solari dumps because some people like Warling are way too rich. You're almost as rich in this game as you are in Eve, aren't you, Warling? Amazing. This means more rock islands to build on. Yes, it does, Bellum, that's right. Sandworms in the deep desert now have a 50% chance to use shorter breach version of their animation. Okay. This means that half the time, the sandworms are going to not take 20 seconds to come up and then come down and then start coming to, and then you're gone. They just erupt, come after you. Good. We have to be aware now. We had a moment where we were like, why are we using thumpers? Why are we even using thumpers? So you're a small potato. Worthing, don't cut yourself short. You're a large potato. Okay. You're a full-grown spud. All right. Dare I say, you know what I'm saying? So no more having everybody bunched up on one island. That is true, Bellum. That is very true. This is good though, because I think it means the worm is actually going to be a threat in the DD again. Very, very good. Community warnings that appear before the Coriello storm build up begin now more clearly convey that it is the storm build up that will happen, not the apex of a storm where the deep desert is wiped. Sure. Okay, fine. I think that's a W because people were kind of confused by that. Okay, cool. A bunch of UI changes. Honestly, I don't really want to go over all these. Added a search bar to all the crafting and fabricator menus, allowing you to filter recipes across all quickly. This is pretty cool. PS5 support. Added deposit all. I mean, this is the big one. Deposit all blood, deposit all water is the big one. Really sick. This patch has several worm aggro stuff going on. Faster animations, more aggro from compactors. They want us to get even more. Yes, they do. The worm is not a threat when you get an Ornithopter as it is right now. Straight up, not a threat. And the fact it's only in the DD that the aggro goes faster, I think that's good because you're in the DD. I've never been eaten by a worm, not close since in the beta. Exactly, Bonzo, literally correct. So, and a bunch of other different things on combat. Less bonuses. Updated the battle text, the battle hardened to communicate what it does. Updated the duration stated in Poison Tooth to better match the actual duration of the effect. It's been known, all of this, it's been known for a long time. And look at all this, all of these skills. We think they do something and they don't do what we think they do. Did you know that battle hardened only affects soldier abilities? This says ability cooldowns minus 25%. I had this on the entire first month. It was only stopping my Shigawire, helping my Shigawire, because it is only soldier techniques. It doesn't say that. It says ability cooldowns, not soldier ability cooldowns. They're fixing this, at least most of it. They're putting it in. That's why I don't use it anymore. I use the plus health and the marksman stuff, and you know, I'm a Mentat PvP spec. So W stuff, hopefully they keep doing this. All of this is, you know, fixed NPCs not using their abilities. More combat stuff, make the game harder, make the game clearer on what stuff does make sense to me. Ladies and gentlemen, so many issues were fixed, bug fixes. You can go read about the rest of it in the description. We're going to include all of that there. tons of changes, tons of good things happening to Dune Awakening. I'm glad to see that the devs are taking the game serious and they're fixing the bugs. This is what we called for 2 weeks ago when we said this is what the game needs. They're doing it not because I said so, but because they know this is what the game needs to move forward. When new content comes out, when the expansions that are in the promised DLC get announced, we will cover that. Make sure you check out our Dune Awakening playlist right here. And for the guides we mentioned, we're going to get those made for you. And sub right here for more space game news and guides. We'll see you in the next video, y'all. Thanks very, very much.